Top 5 thoughts about Jim Phillips returning to the ACC in a 3-year deal. Look, I'll just get you right out of the way. The Big Ten ruined number 5 by hiring. I said they have one less candidate. And I kind of thought that this might be coming. I just kind of hoped when I made this it wasn't going to be today, like maybe tomorrow, that they would do this. But never going to sneeze at breaking news. So, Jim Phillips was apparently a candidate for that job. But clearly they've gone at I don't know if he was, given the fact that this is, or if he was, they just decided to go in the direction that the Pac-12, they did, and the Big 12 have, and getting somebody from outside the college
was there any
athletics box.
Correlation to Phillips' extension and the Big Ten announcing Petiti today?
Oh, I think I don't think it's a coincidence that
There's
those
absolutely
two things
no chance that it'll happen on the same day and was not related somehow or another. I mean, come on. That's just, that's the timing of that. It would have to be 1 in quadrillion chance that would happen on the same day, I would think. So, yeah absolutely.
Yeah. So, there he is. He's got a 3-year extension of the Big Ten, has their commissioner in Jim Petiti, and we'll see how that works out. Number 4, I would say don't expect now that Jim Phillips is back a lot of bow rocking on the East Coast. He's not that good. Jim Phillips is the anti-Kevin Warren, right? He's the opposite of that. He's the one who's, trying to keep it this way. He was the one who was against the playoff expansion and was one of Kevin Warren's pawns. So I don't expect to see, and granted, there's not a lot of boat rocking they can do, but a lot of things to come out of the ACC that are necessarily world-changing over the next 3 years with Jim Phillips.
Yeah, and I don't know what there could have been anyways. With that contract they have, I guess you have some teams talking out of turn or bumping their gums when they feel necessary to, and I'm sure that could continue to some extent with Florida State or whoever else deems themselves as, having not gotten their full slice given their weight that they've thrown around in that conference. But, yeah, that's just more solidifying what's already solidified for another 15 years or so or whatever. I keep forgetting when that deal's actually
36 or 7?
Yeah, so close enough. That is 15 years, close enough. So, it's just the same. And the boat rocking will be, something to be on the lookout for, though, for them, I would imagine, because it'll come from within, but not so much outside.
Yeah. Number 3, small schools keep a good advocate. So the Boston colleges and the Wake Forest do. Jim Phillips is that. I think is one of his true strengths because he's in a conference that has a very wide array of schools that have different lots in life, and he's been a good advocate for them and keeping things together and moving forward with a unified vision. And they're going to need that given the fact that some of the bigger ones and the bigger brands appear kind of annoyed with that arrangement right now. So, but they do keep a good advocate. Jim Phillips has been a good advocate for those schools and kind of making sure that they still have their place in all this, because it could be real easy. It could be easy for any conference commissioner, honestly, to do what happened in the Big 12, which is everybody else is here, but I'm only listening to a couple of them. Okay, everybody go around once at the meeting, and then you get to Texas and Oklahoma, and
they get longer
and
time.
They get longer and all this. Here's what we're really going to do. We'll put that in the notes. Thanks for being here. So he's been, I think, really good about all this. And I'll talk about the big schools at number 1, but I do think he's been good for them in that regard.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know much about his dealings with some of that day-to-day stuff, but they all seem happy with him. So that's not coming from a Texas OU type of situation. It seems like everybody's pretty on board. Yeah. Number 2, I'm not sure that the ACC could have a your mark type right now. You just said it, Craig. That deal is so big. What, other than bringing in maybe some of the outside stuff, if there's an ACC concert series or, the pro day or copying some of those ideas or, trying to expand their footprint in basketball, which I'm surprised they haven't really already done because they were a good basketball league really before the Big 12 was.
Oh, yeah.
And so maybe doing all that, outside of that stuff, I'm not sure they can have an earth mover right now, because what are they going to do? Because the media rights, it centers around all that, and that's not changing until 2036.
They're locked in. Yep.
Yeah, there's no need for ACC Mexico or, whatever, ideas that Brett Yormark has come up with, basketball camps in New York City and things like that. Yeah, they don't have the need for that. So, yeah, with no TV deal and no, water infiltrating the lower deck, they're pretty well set up and don't need to kind of flesh out some of those things.
That's one of the things, by the way. I know you listen to Mac when you get back home, but we asked him about Big 12 Mexico and a few of those things about that are on the radar with Yormark.
Yeah, and number one, the big dogs clearly trust him, and so because it could have been one of those things where, look, we need some things to change, and maybe bringing in a different commissioner will do that, but if Florida State, Miami, Clemson, North Carolina had a problem with Jim Phillips, he's probably not getting an extension right now. Even if he is interviewing with the Big Ten, then maybe like, fine, take him, Big Ten. We want something different, and we'll get a new conference commissioner. We'll go get a Tony Petitti or a Brett Yormark, which may happen eventually. But for right now, they feel comfortable with him. So and the ACC has to figure some things out. So they probably do need some stability in that to be able to have some reasonable discussions about how do you bridge this income gap with a deal that you could not have predicted would age this poorly.
How many people know the ACC better than Jim Phillips? How long has he been there?
Let's see, since Swofford, so 2015 or so.
Okay, he's been around a while. He knows where the rooms are, the skeletons are buried, etc.
Yeah.
I want to know why Florida State was first on that list, going left to right.
Look, Emory makes the graphics. He just knows, they got to make Big Papa happy.
Under the table payment.
No, you just got to know you got to make Big Papa happy.
Okay,
that's what you do.
Good job, Emory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they came together to vote on this or approve it or whatever, but even if they didn't trust him, then they'd still get outvoted 11-3 or what have you. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they're fully on board, and again, nobody's going anywhere in the foreseeable future. So yeah, I mean, they got to all be on the same page, and it seems as though he did enough of a job these last several years to ensure that he's got this all ahead of him still for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, they're all on board, and that's a good thing for the ACC, although we know that there will be some things to settle, and that will be one of his main, to-dos will be getting in a room, I'm sure, with Florida State and room with Clemson and being like, all right, guys, let's talk about the future and revenue sharing and things like that. But, yeah, he's got a good foot already in the door, and that should bode well for them.
Let's do it above the table, not –
right.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I mean, they've got the ACC. That's a great point, guys. Has an opportunity here to be like, look, we've seen what everybody else has done to each other, and that I know that. Look, there is you have to fight for yourself first, but let's remember here what's all at stake. And so I think that's probably good to remind yourself while you still have this time before those schools can be like, all right, we'll see you. Mm-hmm.
I saw this. I don't agree with everything Stuart Mandel says. It's like anybody else. You just kind of you just see things flying across. But I thought that this was interesting. For a group of people who continually claim they don't want college athletics to become professionalized, university presidents sure seem to like hiring former pro sports execs as their commissioners, which is a very fair point. And he went on to point out that they don't have a TV deal coming up. So then he did. All these people complain about realignment talk and, all this kind of stuff. So tell me how intentional this was. Unless, of course, they're planning to add more schools, cough, Oregon and Washington, and get right back into that. But, yeah, I mean, it seems like the Big Ten's got somebody who's not going to do so much of the finagling and the, trying to talk with Fox. All that's done, so he can kind of round out the rest of it.
I think university presidents, for the most part, saying that they don't want the professionalization, but then doing that is them admitting that it's already on the tracks.
Yes.
But it's one of those things you can't say in their position. You can't kind of say it out loud because they have to deal with more than just the athletic side. Because if they just said, like, look, we've got to do this, then they've got all their academia people going, hey, what's going on here? What about me? What about me? What about this? And it's just something you can't.
We don't even ever get to that point. Yeah.
No, but it's true, but you can't say it out loud because you're going to sound like a jerk.
St. Dominic's Rosary.